Lucky, are you gonna help me review The Hobbit? Did you see The Hobbit? What do you think of it? Did you like it? Well, that's pretty much how I felt about it too. Hey, it's Katie, and I know it's Friday, so I should be doing a Katie's Take 5 Friday, but I just saw The Hobbit and I have to review it for you. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start with this movie. Alright, so I guess I just have to start out saying, like how I usually start out my Hobbit reviews for the last two movies, I have not read the books. So my movie watching experience is a little different than those who have read the books. For the most part, I did like the first two movies. I had a lot of issues with the way that it looks compared to Lord of the Rings, the way that the story flows compared to Lord of the Rings, and I guess the fair thing to say about this film is don't compare it to Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's all the same actors. Yeah, it's you know, the same author. Yeah, it's the same director and everything. And yeah, it's the same world, but it is not the same at all. The reason why I fell in love with Lord of the Rings to begin with was because this was this amazing, magical land that literally sucked you in, and it was just such an incredible experience to watch. And with the Hobbit movies, they're just so overly CGI'd, where the first film had more practical effects and practical makeup, and they just don't flow the same way. Alright, I'm getting to this movie. I'm gonna try not to spoil anything for you guys, because that's not fair to you if you haven't seen it. Overall, I did like the movie. I liked it because it was the same world, the same characters, the same environment, I guess, as the story that I've loved, but I did not love this movie. The first 10 minutes of the movie should have been the end of the second movie. I absolutely hated the fact that I could have had those last 10 minutes in the second movie. Like, I don't even understand how that works. Like, it was a big scene in the first 10 minutes of the movie, so I just don't understand. I guess they had to leave us with a cliffhanger from the second movie, and now with this one, they're like, oh, okay, cliffhanger resolved, and now we're moving on. Like, it didn't flow. They should have ended the second movie where they started the beginning of the third movie, because literally, like, I was just mad. I felt like they threw it away. Because the first event that happens in this movie, they literally rushed it and it was done with, which sucked. Because I was so looking forward to this throughout the entire trilogy. I knew it was coming. I knew that's what I was really, really excited to see. And it was so rushed and cheesy. It made me so sad. I know everyone's talking about the 45-minute long action sequence. I mean, I hear everyone on the news being like, yeah, go see The Hobbit for the 45-minute action sequence. And I can tell you guys, yeah, I was entertained. Okay, the movie's entertaining. The action is entertaining. You fall in love with these characters, but there's just a campiness about this movie that the others didn't exactly have 100%, but it kind of had a campiness to the fighting, to the way people were reacting with each other in very, very serious situations. I mean, in Lord of the Rings, you didn't really see many people laughing about other people dying and stuff. Like, I don't know, it just felt, I feel like The Hobbit overall was kind of like a little bit more cheesier than Lord of the Rings, but this third movie specifically, I just remember saying to myself during this movie, that would have been so awesome if they took it seriously. Some of the things that the characters do, even in the action sequences, are so unrealistic. I don't know, something about Lord of the Rings, and I know I keep going back to this, but that's because they set their own precedent and they're not living up to it. I mean, that's what you get. That's really what you get. If you're gonna make this epic trilogy, and it's going to be incredible, and then you decide to make another trilogy in the same world, same story, and you don't make it the same way, like, that just blows my mind. Why would you do that? Did they just give you less money, or you just wanted to use more CGI? Like, I wish I could give you the specifics, but you'll know when you see it. There are certain scenes where there are creatures or orcs or whatever, and they look so unrealistic, or you'll see someone jump or something jump, and it would be a distance that was way, like, not even possible. Even for mythical creatures, it looked abnormally ridiculous. So for me, getting over the fact that every time there was bad CGI or something looked cheesy, I was just like, it took me out of it. I also had another issue with it, continuity. That's something you hear a lot of filmmakers talking about. It's, you know, making sure that if an actress's hair, you know, is to the left side, that in the next shot it's not on the right side. And continuity is really important to filmmaking, and there are people who do notice things like that, and I happen to be one of them. And I was going out of my mind nitpicking, not even nitpicking, it was blatantly just, they didn't care to take the time with continuity. It's like the easiest thing you could do, like that's someone's job. The continuity was so off. There was a scene where, you know, some people were walking, and I'm not gonna, no spoilers, so I'm not gonna use names or anything, so I want you to notice it on your own and not because I am pointing it out. But there's a scene where you know, someone's walking and there are all these gigantic, like, beautiful pillars in front of them. And then, so you see, you know, you see their back walking, and then you see all these beautiful pillars, and then when they turn around, they're now halfway down this hallway, and the reverse shot is like a stone archway. Where did the pillars go? They weren't there. It didn't make sense. Also, so many continuity errors during the fighting sequences. That really bothered me because I want to sit in a movie and feel like I am taken away. I want to be in it. I want to feel it. And I kept going, wait, what? What did they do? Wait, what? What did I just watch? I kept trying to force myself to be like, okay, stop thinking of technical things. Just watch the movie. But then they would do something ridiculous or something that just felt really out of place, and I found myself just coming back to the movie theater like, oh, I'm sitting in a movie theater. I know nothing can replace the final battle in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but they could have at least tried, because obviously the movie's called Battle of Five Armies, so you expect a battle and you want that battle to be incredible. It was very lackluster. That's all I can say. There were certain parts about the movie that I did love, so I'm sorry to be so negative, but I had to get this off my chest because these are things that are bothering me. Everyone's like, what'd you think of The Hobbit? And I'm like, I have so many thoughts like going through my brain, but I will talk about good things. My very favorite part of the movie is Galadriel. She's incredible. Cate Blanchett was amazing. This was a side of Galadriel that you don't expect to see, and she was awesome. I loved her scene. I thought she was great. I loved that. I thought that was really, really cool. Also, the acting in the movie is amazing. Obviously, I think it's very well cast. So it's definitely not bad in that way. There are a couple moments where I question the directing style a little bit with some of the actors. But gosh, you know, I wish I could tell you this specific part, but when you go and see it, hopefully you'll know what I'm talking about, but there's this one scene where the audience laughed. And you were not supposed to laugh there. It was just because the scene was trying to be so serious to the point that it was just silly. And that's pretty much how I could describe the movie. It was that it was trying to be so serious, but at the same time, it was laughable. It was weird. It's so hard to explain. And also, why even film a movie in New Zealand if you're not going to use its beautiful landscapes? That's what made Lord of the Rings so incredible, and that's what put New Zealand on the map, was the landscape that was shown in the movie was just breathtaking, and every single scene in the Battle of Five Armies is CGI'd. Literally the only thing I think that wasn't CGI was the very end. There was like one scene that you could go, okay, well, that wasn't CGI'd, and that's crazy. That is ridiculous. Like if someone gave me the opportunity to film in New Zealand, I'd be outside 24/7, there's no need for CGI. I mean, how much more beautiful of a place and magical of a place could you possibly get? Like, New Zealand is the mecca of fantasy, and they didn't even use it, I feel like. Even though this movie had a lot of issues and things that really made me be like, what am I even watching right now? That was really disappointing, but I think the worst part is how sad it was to see a franchise go. But at the same time, it's like they could have gone out with a bang. Like, you know, when you see the last Harry Potter movie, you sit there and you're like, wow, this story is over. Like, it's done, it's over, this isn't gonna happen again. With The Hobbit, I was expecting that. I was expecting, you know, they're wrapping up this franchise, this incredible story. And that was the sad part about it, is that it just, I didn't feel like it got the proper goodbye that it deserved. I had some friends who had seen the movie before me, and they just flat out said, don't go, don't see it, don't waste your time. But I didn't want to go into the movie with any preconceived notion of what it was going to be. I was just going to enjoy it for myself, not being a book reader, and just watch it. And so I am disappointed in the finale of this trilogy. I really am. But at the same time, I can't listen to other people's opinions of this movie before going and seeing it, because I feel like we need to support fantasy movies. I feel like we need to show support so that we can get more fantasy shows, more fantasy movies. Not like The Hobbit needs our help, but you know what I mean. Yes, it was fantasy. It was still enjoyable. I liked it better than I like, you know, a lot of movies, but it just wasn't my very favorite Hobbit movie, and it wasn't my favorite fantasy movie ever. But at the same time, it is The Hobbit, and it did have good elements. It also had elements that I didn't necessarily like. But you guys really have to go see it yourself, and you have to make up your own mind about it, because this isn't a movie that I can say, I loved it, I hated it, or you should or you shouldn't go see it. You need to make up your own mind. You gotta go, you need to decide for yourself. Like, if you've read the books, I can only imagine that would be even more disappointing. But if you haven't read the books and you've enjoyed the last two movies like a lot, then go see it. You want to see what happens, you want to see how it ends and how it gets wrapped up. I have a lot of questions though, so I need to talk to someone who's read the books, because I literally have a question that no one's been able to answer for me, because none of my friends have read The Hobbit, and I just have a question. So if you've read the book, can you like write in the comments, and then I can ask you this question that they did not wrap up in the end of this movie. There were so many questions. I was like, wait, what happened? And maybe it's something they answered in Lord of the Rings that I just don't remember, but I have a question. So I don't know how to rate this on my movie scale. I guess we're gonna have to go with, I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna give it 2.5 gold rings out of 5. Maybe that's being too nice. Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt. I'm sorry if that was confusing for you, but it was just, there was a lot going on and a lot of things I didn't love, but then there are some things that were pretty cool too. But I still think you guys should go see it. Support fantasy movies. I really want to know what you guys thought of the movie, so if you've seen it, please let me know what you thought. If you're gonna give any spoilers away, write spoilers and then like a couple spaces so people don't read it who don't want to be spoiled. But I would love to talk about it because I do have some questions still. So let me know in the comments if you've seen it or if you're going to go see it and what you thought of it. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Ugly sweater season. We know they're tacky. Haters gonna hate, can't please them. Yeah, they're so jelly. Wait a minute, won't you stop and stare? Wait a minute, won't you?
Boom, 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 do, 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 do.